What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with MoneyVest, and welcome to our market open live stream. Hope you all are doing great and are ready to get started here. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining. Pre-market, we are seeing some very nice, interesting moves. We are seeing a bit of a pullback in QQQs. It is down about 19 basis points. We got the S&P 500 slightly down as well. We got Nvidia down about 77 basis points, and Meta essentially flat at the moment. If you guys can see me and hear me, just give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure that the audio and the video is good. And man, if I could show you guys the breathtaking views that I have right now from the sunset. I'm just gonna grab my jacket. Give me 1 second, and I'll be right back. Okay, I was outside because I really like to spend my time in my balcony because of the crazy, insane views that you can actually get. But nonetheless, let's come back to the market. And in one of these sunsets, I will definitely show you guys exactly what it looks like outside. Post the view in the Discord group. I actually posted a story on my Instagram, so I'll show it to you right now very quickly. But this right here is what it looks like. So I'm just going to show you. So this is going to be my entire balcony. I'm going to redo it. I'm going to put up a lot of artificial grass, a lot of plants, greenery, all that stuff. But this right here is what it looks like. And you can see the planes landing every single few minutes because it's very close to the airport as well. And so you get the entire view of the downtown skyline, the Burj Khalifa, as well as the planes landing all day long. So it's absolutely incredible. And I like to sit outside and just like chill. It's nice weather. So it's incredible. Okay, so let's do this. Pre-market, we are seeing a bit of a pullback. Gold is sitting at a brand new all-time high at $4,477. And we got silver also pushing up to new highs, right? So $70 is the level that we're seeing. $70 per ounce is what we're seeing right now for silver, brand new all-time high. Absolutely incredible, just insane, right? If you consider this, and of course, S&P 500 also sitting at near all-time highs, and so is the NASDAQ as well, right? Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Silver is on fire. Absolutely, Nathan, doing incredibly well. Do you all believe in these GDP numbers? So yes, they were supposed to come out today. Delayed data, right? So it's third quarter GDP numbers, but very delayed because of the government shutdown. So market's gonna put maybe some weight on it, but it's not really going to matter much. But yes, we did come in super strong at 4.3% is the actual growth in the third quarter 2025. And then personal consumption expenditure annual rate sitting at 3.5%. So that's where we are. And for the GDP numbers. Do you think with higher GDP numbers, stocks will fall today, Eric? And we always have to consider this from an economic standpoint in regards to interest rates, inflation, and the overall picture, right? With higher than expected numbers for growth, GDP numbers coming in strong, that means economy is strong, right? So it actually needs less interest rate cuts. And that's why the stocks are dropping a little bit here on this report, is because that lowers the probability for rate cuts. Rate cuts are only there to help support the economy, but if the economy is strong, it doesn't need any support. And as a result, interest rate cuts are less probable. And as a result, markets are pulling back a bit. So I'm just getting another call here. Who is this? Okay. Yeah, so that's where we are. With that, market's pulling back a little bit after a 3-day, 4-day win streak. Bitcoin also sitting at just over $87,500. Ethereum sitting at just shy of $3,000 right now. But really, the headline is gold and silver. Gold and silver have taken off like a rocket, literally like a rocket, because silver sitting at over $70 a barrel. I mean, if you come over to the monthly time frame, this has been insane. Since October of 2022, silver prices have gone up over 300%. And since April of this year, silver is up over 150%. So it's just been on an absolute tear how much it's been ripping. I picked up silver this year. So earlier this year, picked up some silver. I've been buying gold for a long time, coming from India, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate if you are from India. And gold prices since September have gone up over 145%. In fact, gold has been outperforming the S&P 500 for some time now, since February of 2024. So it's been well over almost 2 years we've seen gold actually outperform the equity market. And this entire chart also signals some kind of a bull market that's getting started for gold, right? So commodities relative to equities for S&P 500 underperforming against commodities. So that's that. Let's see. How's inflation? No today. Inflation, well, if you come take a look at GDP numbers, they came out strong. Corporate profits also came out. Durable goods orders also came out. We do have the 7-year note auction coming up tomorrow. And then yesterday, again, some other 2-year note auction, 6-month bill auction. That was pretty much it. Consumer confidence is going to be coming out later today at around 10 a.m. Eastern. So after tax year-over-year growth for corporate profits at 2.4%. And then with inventory consumption adjustments, we're looking at 10.5% for profits there for companies. And durable goods orders declining a little bit. New orders coming in 2.2% lower. In other words, negative month over month for durable goods orders here for the month of October. So that's where we are. Let's see. Netflix buying Warner Brothers Studios. Warner Brothers is going to be a huge win for them. They are going to be the dominant player in Hollywood and streaming with all this IP. So one of the things about Netflix, is that it is a very capital intensive, cash flow heavy business. It is a business of staying relevant, right? They have to keep coming up with creative ideas on how to keep people glued to their subscription platform and streaming and continue to create more content, which inherently is a content cash flow heavy business, right? You have to keep spending to keep making. And every project has to be treated as an investment of its own. So for those reasons, as long as the creativity is there, as long as there's no complacency and there's no, level of redundancy there, I think Netflix continues to be a very strong player in the streaming space. But that's really what we have to monitor consistently. And we have been seeing a bit of a pullback, for Netflix has been on a, several years, 3-year bull market of over 700%, 800% rally. And so right now we're seeing a bit of a pullback, of course, support level down to as much as $82 to $85 per share. And the lower it gets down to, the better value Netflix becomes. So that's the interesting part about, looking at assets in general is, everything is Bible. Like for me, when I look at assets of all kinds, doesn't matter if it's stocks, options, real estate, bonds, commodities, everything is worth buying at what exactly? If given to you at what? What is the main variable that we like to focus on? What is the main key variable that we will always prioritize for every asset class? Doesn't matter what it is. This is like not specific to stocks, but this can be applied in principle to everything. The world of investing and finance, every asset is worth buying if given to us at the right price. Exactly at the right price, right? Price determines everything. So that is the key ingredient to thinking about assets in general. Peter Lynch has made significant money buying distressed assets, right? Distressed meaning high quality assets given to him at very distressed prices. He's made a lot of money in credit markets because he understands credit. He understands the debt market very, very well. Howard Marks has made a lot of money in the credit markets because they understand value. They understand equities is not the only game in town. Stocks are not the only game in town. You can make money in other markets as well, so long as you can actually identify opportunity. So our goal is always from day one to recognize opportunity. to recognize where there's true discounts and deals. That's what we're here in the market for, if given to us at the right price. So that is what we always focus on. And that will always be our analysis. Excuse me. Yes, but like Ross Gerber said on Bloomberg, Netflix's debt is not like Oracle's debt. Investors want to buy their debt. Netflix has really healthy cash flow also. Yes, correct. And that's exactly what we have to monitor. As I said, every project, every original series, everything that they spend money on is a project, is an investment on its own. They have to evaluate it, making sure that whatever they're spending money to create is going to bring in more than what they're spending in, right? Because otherwise it'll be a failed investment, and that's when the cash flow starts going down. So I think one of the biggest things that Netflix did, which obviously turned their business around, is advertising. For a very, very long time, Netflix did not introduce advertising. That was one of the reasons why it was plummeting, right? And then as soon as they turned on ads, and it's kind of funny, right? Very similar to YouTube. Create the problem, sell the solution. Create the problem, sell the solution. So they created the problem, and they're now monetizing on the solution, charging ads with businesses, and then charging subscriptions to users. And so you're making money both ways. Very, very smart, of course. They're in it to make money, obviously. So that's what they did, and they turned the business around, and now they're looking at some very good cash flows. But every project, as I said, has to be evaluated on its own. Still has a ton of potential long term, and right now sitting at a support at $92 to $93. Anything under that, we're looking at $82 as the next support. So I don't buy stocks in industries I don't understand, though, no matter the price. 100%. I mean, if you don't understand that industry, obviously you're not going to buy it because then you don't know what is a good deal and what is not. So I think it goes pretty self-explanatory that in order for you to recognize a good deal, you need to know more about that industry and about that product and about that asset. If you know nothing, then you can't really separate between a good deal and a not so great deal. The core essence of recognizing a good deal is the homework and the research that we do and the understanding that we have for that market. So in my fundamental analysis course, like I go over this in a very, very simple example. I go over the example of an iPhone, right? Everybody knows iPhone's value. Like most likely, a lot of us watching this video right now, watching you guys streaming, know the value of an iPhone, right? Most of you guys are probably using it. So if I give you the brand new iPhone for $200, right? You're gonna literally just pay me same day cash. Like, yes, I want to buy it because you know the value of an iPhone and what it's gonna sell in the secondary market. But if you had no idea what phones were selling for, you had no idea what smartphones were selling for, then you can't distinguish between a good deal and a bad deal. So having that understanding is, of course, very important. It's part of the homework. It's why we do this research. I think people will sleep on Disney if when they sell broadcast TV service, it will be a $150 stock. Oracle's debt is extremely risky as well. The only thing gold surge and investment by governments gives us a clue of potential recession. So I would argue that I think, one of the reasons why gold is ripping is because a lot of central banks are stockpiling gold as well. I think they're kind of recognizing this fact that that the reserve currency, which is the US dollar, of course, has been devaluing over the years. But it is somewhat kind of moving in that direction of delinking or decoupling, just US dollars with gold. And I think obviously we kind of went off the gold standard way back, but right now I think a lot of investors and a lot of central banks really want something as a store of value and a hard asset, which gold provides. So, a small part of me does believe that, okay, long term, some of the more physical hard assets, such as gold and real estate, have a ton of potential because these are, again, real assets, hard assets. So that's one of the reasons why I've been very optimistic on gold. I've been talking about this, and I can even go back to my videos from 2022, 2023, where we were having this comparison and we were having this discussion. And I remember the comments, literally, like if you go back and check out the comments, you'll see a lot of people were against gold. People were saying, no, S&P 500 and stocks is the way to go about it. But yeah, gold has stood the test of time through thousands of years. Like it's been around the block for many, many years. So, $200 iPhone, what's the catch? Got to know why it's a good deal also. Yes, exactly. And that's just an example, right? But in the markets, very similar deals happen all the time. Like you're given great companies, great stocks, great assets at very attractive discounted prices. Why? Because on the other side, the seller is distressed. Either they're getting liquidated, they're getting a margin call, they're getting some kind of distress is there on the other side. That's why panics happen. That's why, when we do see the sell-off, we see a rapid, aggressive selling pressure, right? Because markets always take staircases up and elevators down. Elevators down meaning they come down super fast because of forced liquidations, because of liquidity issues, because of all that. So reasons can be many, but we as investors and buyers and allocators, we always have to recognize that opportunity and act fast, act quickly. That's why, preparedness comes in, preparedness and doing your homework is so much more important than execution, because it's not impulse. It's recognizing opportunity right away and taking advantage. So that's what we are here to do. They're 8% dividend yield under high income ETF category, the SPYI, QQQIs, and JEPIs as potential investments as well. So always look at ETFs on the ETF DB database, right? So you can always come here and take a look at exactly what the holdings are, what the management fees are. So 35 basis points is the management fee. Holdings are going to be some of the higher dividend yielding assets such as Johnson & Johnson, Alphabet, AbbVie. We got JP Morgan, government money market funds, Analog Devices, MasterCard, Amazon. So all of these, again, very, very strong businesses. And if you come take a look at the overall category, it's got large cap, mostly focused on North America in equities. And you've got a dividend yield of over 8% with very strong growth for capital as well. So you're looking at 90% growth since 2020, which obviously is less, I believe, than what the markets have given us. But you are also getting a very, very high dividend yield as well. So absolutely, I think these are dividend yields worth considering for sure. Yeah, that's why you try to invest with your money, not margin. 100%. I've always mentioned this. The moment you use leverage is the moment you give up control over your own asset. Leverage also means scale. So if you're using leverage, yes, you can scale faster, you can grow faster, 100%. But then you have to pick and choose, exactly what it is that you want. I'm not against using margin or leverage, but as I've always mentioned, in the right hands, it can be very powerful. In the wrong hands, it can be disastrous. So you are the best judge of your own hands and how you see yourself as a borrower, as an investor. So, okay. Sometimes things are cheap for a reason, 100%. So always got to analyze that as well. There might be hidden reasons. There might be hidden risks that we also have to evaluate. So, Jeremy, that's where a lot of the analysis comes in. I hope Netflix will buy Warner Brother, but Daddy Larry looks into his pocket of $40 billion to give his son as a Christmas gift. I know, absolutely crazy. I read about that as well. Do you foresee new all-time highs today for the S&P 500? So we are, how much are we off from all-time highs? We're very close. I think we're less than 1% away. So S&P 500 needs to rally another 60, 70 basis points in order for us to be at a brand new all-time high, 6,900. How many people think that we're going to be hitting 7,000 before the end of this year? So SPX by year end, 7,000 plus, 6,900, 6,800, and last option, less than 6,800, meaning that we're going to sell off from where we currently are. Let's do this poll. Let's see what everyone thinks is going to happen over the next few days. We don't have a lot of trading left. So we have today, which of course is a full trading day. Tomorrow, the markets are going to close early at 1 p.m. Eastern. So we've got a half trading day. I've got the NYC calendar here somewhere. Right here. Okay. So 24th, we've got half day, 1 p.m. markets close. 25th, the markets are closed completely in observance of Christmas. 26th, the markets are open. And then next week, we got 29th, 30th, and then 31st, the markets are open as well. So we do have 5 full trading days and then 1 half trading days. We got 5.5 days worth of trading left. And if you were to consider that in terms of hours, we're looking at about 35, 36 hours worth of trading left in 2025. So that's what we have. And very excited to see how the markets close out the year. S&P 500 is up over 16% year to date, which is yet another fantastic year for the market. It's a very generous year for S&P 500 to give us another double-digit returns. Meta trading back under 660. I have honestly been very lucky with Meta as well, to say the least. I've collected now over $2,000 in premiums, or probably more, in the last 3 weeks trading Meta stock. That's it. Just been wheeling Meta. 665 call, expired worthless, out of the money. 665 call, closed out for 90% profit. 665 call, expired worthless, out of the money, 100% profit. 670 call, closed out for 44% profit early in 2 hours. Now I have the 665 call again for this Friday, and we'll see what happens between now and Friday if Meta is going to be trading above 665 or lower. So if it sells off further, again, we're going to be rinsing and repeating the whole process. Keep a close eye on volatility as well. 14.4 is where we are for the VIX. Again, the lower it goes, the more careful we need to be for the market here, as VIX is now in the 28th percentile right now. With tax loss harvesting unlikely, I do think that next year in January, there may be some profit taking, yes, there might be some tax loss harvesting towards the end of this year, but I do think that in January, there may be some profit taking because this has been a very good year. This has not been a year of losses. A lot of people like to take losses and harvest their losses in a down year. In a very good year, what I've noticed is that January tends to be weaker than December. And this is a study that I'm working on, and I'll definitely share that with all of you. But in a year where the markets are down all the way through November, December obviously has worse performance because of the tax loss harvesting. But in the years the markets are higher, the subsequent January tends to be worse because of profit taking and taxes getting pushed to the next financial year. So that I think is going to be quite interesting. What happens on January 1st onwards in the month, I think it's going to be quite telling for the market, how we start next year, 2026. So what do you think about Apple? Will be year-end caddies. So Apple's been pulling back, right? It's been selling off down to that support. I think 265 is a good support level to watch for Apple, and a resistance up to 277. I think it's going to close most likely in between that range. Kind of hard to say exactly pinpointing where it's going to close, but I think it's going to be somewhere between that level. So 265 is going to be that support to watch for Apple. So there we go. I will take profit as soon as possible in January. I think when Nvidia hits all-time highs, I will sell it. So there we go. Already people want to push their taxable gains to the next year, so not have to worry about another 11 months. And as a result, we could witness some selling in January. So what else? What other stocks are we looking at? What other questions you guys have? Fundamentals, technicals, trading, options, macro, monetary policy, fiscal policy. What are we talking? What is it that you guys want to discuss to close out the entire year? Economic data is out, most of it delayed, and also last month's data, inflation, unemployment, we have everything. From a news perspective, not really much happening other than Tesla's been on the move, Nvidia's been on the move, Palantir's been on the move. So a lot of these stocks ripping higher. Nvidia's also had a pretty decent year, 35% on the year, and Palantir, fantastic one of the best years, 154% year to date. So have you tasted the waters of S&P 500 zero DTE trading? No. I have not, and don't know if I'm gonna do that, but I do like weekly calls, weekly options better than daily. For me, it's more about selling weekly options and not having to be stuck or glued to the screen 24/7 during market hours. I want to spend 15-30 minutes a week looking at the options chain. What options am I selling for all the stocks that I have? I block my trades, meaning I will fire off all the alerts in a 5-minute time frame and then be done. It's not like, and even in the Discord, you'll notice it's not like every few hours I'm sending out alerts. It's not like that. It's like you'll have the 10-minute period when I'm just like firing off alerts and then I'm done. And then just like quietness. And then another 5-minute burst of just like alerts. And then I'm just like quiet again. So for me, it's not like being glued to the screen for the entire trading hours. It's more about do your business, make money, and then be out and about, with other things. So that sounds to be a good night's sleep. 100%. Okay. Let's see. So is iron stay above 40? Iron good to sell CSPs today? So I actually sold covered calls yesterday on iron because it was pushing higher, and today it's down 3%. So those covered calls are most likely going to be up. So yes, today might be a good day to looking at CSPs as well. So if you want to look at cash secured puts, you could consider levels down to $39, $33 for CSPs on iron. Microsoft chart, let's take a quick look. And Microsoft mostly consolidating sideways. It's been in this range for quite some time. Got a resistance all the way to 492, 493, and we've got a support level down here at 470 for Microsoft. Silver target, I expect silver, Dave, at over $100 per ounce. Can't really put a time frame on it, but I think $100 per ounce is what I could see silver in the future. We had $50 at one point for silver. It blew past that level very quickly. Hit $50 not too long ago, back in December, first week of December, and it's already at 70 now. So incredible. I have a question about options, Caddy. When is the best time to roll the option? Do you wait until expiry day or when the volatility is high? What are the parameters to pick the day to roll? So for options rolling, usually when I roll options is when it's in the money or it's getting very close to the money. So the longer you wait for after it's in the money, the worse your situation gets. So you wanna wait for when the option gets very close to the money is when you want to start looking at the potential ideas for rolling. And again, the idea is to roll up and out, meaning you're pushing out the expiration and up the strike. So you're getting further out of the money and you're able to capture more appreciation as the stock is moving. Sometimes I would talk to members and they're like $30, $40 in the money. So those are like deep in the money contracts and it's very difficult to roll those. So you always want to be proactive with your options. So that's exactly why when you are looking at your options portfolio and you're looking at strikes, try to remember those strikes. Try to remember, okay, this stock, I have this strike. Like I know NVIDIA, I have a 170 and 187 strike, right? For NVIDIA 170, that's already in the money by $12. It's been very much back and forth up until 2 days ago. It was very much at the money. It was literally at 170. So I was out of the money for both of them. Now I've got the 187 and 170, right? Tesla, I've got the 360 and the 400. Iron, I sold at 55. So remember the strike prices so that you can actually look at the market prices and then see if you want to roll your options or if you want to wait a little bit longer. But as it gets closer to the money, the idea is to roll so that you don't, get stuck in that trade. How much do you use MACD and RSI in your technical analysis for near-term movements? A lot. I would use it on the daily chart. RSI, MACD kind of hand in hand, and also the L3 banker oscillator, and overall the pattern in the charts to better understand, the overall pattern, support resistance levels, oversold, overbought conditions. And over the years, I have definitely learned and changed my perspective on technical analysis. When I was first getting started, back when I was in school, I used to have this myth about technical analysis that it can actually help me predict markets and it can actually help me tell where stocks are going. And that could not be further from the truth. Technical analysis is not here to predict the future or predict stock prices. It is just a tool to help you understand the probabilities. Trading is very much built on the idea of probabilities. It's nothing but statistics and the odds of one outcome versus another. That's all it is. And that's what we have to maximize on. So if I feel there is a 70% or 80% chance of one outcome over another, that's what I'm basing my decisions off of, because nothing is 100% guaranteed. No technical indicator in the world is going to work 100% of the times. If you backtest a simple strategy using the simple moving average, let's say, for example, SMA, it might have a 60% or a 65% win rate. If you buy when the RSI is oversold and sell when the RSI is overbought, it might have a win rate of 60%, 65%. Nothing in the world of technical analysis is going to be 100%. But what is going to over time be 100% is your intuition, is your instinct. That matters a lot more than indicators. Selling 0DTE options in account, not bad on a low VEX. Yeah, I mean, as long as you can manage the risk, because they're going to be moving like crazy. I have it, tastes very good. You're going to be on the edge of your seat pretty much the entire time, I feel. What's your view on 401k retirement fund strategy with the U.S. economy macros? So, Abhishek, a very broad question. If there's any specific question you want to ask, I'm more than happy to help, but I've always been vouching for maximizing your 401k contributions, using them to your full advantage so that your employer contributions go a long way and you're able to grow your 401k as well. It's kind of like a forced saving that you can have. So what do you think will happen to NVIDIA? Vinny says, you guys are too optimistic. I'm shorting SPY. Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're optimistic. It's just that we try to be a bit more realistic and objective about the markets, and we totally recognize the risks as well. On this channel, you'll never kind of hear constant bullish or bearish talk, but it's more about objective analysis. At least that's what we try to, do, is objectivity. It's very hard to be objective, is what I've realized. Anything in life, like, you always have your own personal biases. So it's very difficult to always remain objective. But that's the whole idea, is just be a bit more realistic and objective with yourself, because I think that's how you grow and are able to grow your portfolio. Babe Ruth. Why do I feel like I've heard that name, but can't place who that is in my head? So NVIDIA, let's take a look at NVIDIA, and we'll take a look at NU as well. I think a lot of people have been talking about NU holdings in our Discord as well. Looks like we've done some analysis on this. So you've got a higher high and higher low as well for NU holdings, getting a nice little bounce from this support. This right here will turn into a support as well, roughly on 1640, 1650 levels. And a resistance all the way up to these levels here at 1784 for NU holdings. So that is going to be that resistance, a very strong support down to 1640 for NU holdings. Thank you so much, Ryan. I really appreciate that a lot. Let's take a look at NVIDIA now. And NVIDIA coming up to that resistance again, dropping a little bit close to 1% pre-market right now. So this is going to be that area of resistance and supply. And support level is going to stay put all the way down to 170 for NVIDIA. So we are in this lower high and lower low pattern. If you do get a breakout above this, next target's all the way up to 195. And that is almost getting back up to all-time highs again. Netflix we covered earlier. So a lot of you guys asking for Netflix. If you could go back maybe 15, 20 minutes, we covered Netflix in a lot of detail. Shared my views on that as well. And then come back to the live stream. Altria, it's 7% dividend stock. One of my friends recommended for dividend income stocks. I think I like Altria, Altria Group. Overall, there's a lot of defensive names. There's a lot of consumer, durable goods, companies that are paying very good dividend yields. Philip Morris has a dividend yield of 3.6%. This is also another one that a lot of people look into. Then Altria, then Schmucker's Company, I think is the name, which forgot what the ticker symbol is for that one. But a lot of them, right? So consumer items, a lot of them, Johnson & Johnson, all of them high dividend yield stocks, good value plays, right? So a lot of value plays there. Is it SJM? Yes, that's what I was wondering, SJM. I was blanking out the ticker, SJM, JM Schmucker Company, also pretty good dividend yield, about 4.4%. And they make all the, stuff that you can find in any household, like, things that you eat, snacks, peanut butter and coffee and like things like that. So Jif branded products, right? So all of that. Value, defensive, good dividend yield. Where are you? Is it cold there? No, I'm just cold right now. I just kind of fell sick earlier last week. So I've just had a little bit of cold and cough. So I've just been wearing a jacket, keeping my house warm. And yeah, trying to get better. So market's going to open in about 2 minutes, guys. Everyone, QQQs, S&P slightly down, more or less flat. Meta, good. It's selling off 658. I'm going to take a look at those covered calls, see how much I'm up, and then decide if I want to close them. Might even go for 660. I would be really pushing my luck if I go to 660 covered calls, because then I'd be looking at 670 closed, 665 closed, and then go straight for 660. And we'll see what happens with those. If I luck out on 660 on Friday, that would be the craziest 2 weeks on Meta covered calls. So that's where we are. A minute 30. And volatility is back up to 14.4, pushing up over 2.4%. Keep a close eye on VIX, okay? I know everybody's very optimistic about a year-end rally, about a Santa rally, but volatility is very important for us because I've been in 2 videos, Friday and Monday. Both of those updates were concentrated on the VIX because it's been selling off. It's actually coming down to some pretty low readings. So VIX being green today is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's already at extremely low levels. So if VIX spike happens this week, next week, or the week after in January when it starts, we're going to be ready, okay? Hall of the Fame baseball player. Okay, nice. Really want to buy more Netflix as it's a support, but the VIX is so low, thinking there might be a better opportunity later on. Yes, so tie it with volatility. I think it's going to help you because, a lot of individual stocks on the shopping list that we have, when they sell off, it corresponds really well with the MoneyVest index. And you can actually see that for yourself. You can come over to our platform and see that. When the MoneyVest Index 2025, as you can see more recently, November 20th, there was an uncertainty, 2.8. Go back and check where Meta was back on November 20th. Exactly that day. You can check where Meta was on November 20th. It was at 580s. And that was below my light buy. And so that was a nice little, corresponding correlation there between the MoneyVest Index as well as the Meta platform like stock right here. This was November 20th. Boom, right there. This was November 20th, right? MoneyVest Index, uncertainty, 2.8. And we've got Meta at 580, buy signal, below my light buy, MoneyVest Index uncertainty, no brainer, right? Decisions become a lot easier once the research is already done. Okay, markets are open. We're seeing a nice little pop right at the open here with the buyers stepping in. We're up over half a basis point, basically, 6-7 basis points here, more or less flat. Same with the S&P 500 and Meta flat. Nvidia is up over 38 basis points. And what is Tesla up to? Nobody's talked about Tesla in the entire chat. It's up pushing up over 0.5% here. 490 is where we are for Tesla. So thank you so much for joining, everybody. Been to Boston and New York and doesn't know Babe Ruth? Saying so. Like, I wasn't into baseball, man. Like, I didn't really watch baseball. Okay, who is this person? American baseball pitcher. Like, okay. A lot of respect. But I never really watched baseball, you know? Like, I've seen the Red Sox play a couple times at the Yankee Stadium. They do play at the Yankee Stadium, right? Or is it something else? No, Yankees are from the New York, I believe. My God, I need to, I'm sorry if I'm disrespecting any baseball fans here. Yes, they're the New York Yankees. Where do Fenway Park? Yes, Fenway Park in Boston is where Red Sox play. I've seen a couple games at the... I'm sorry, you guys. I've mostly been into soccer. Like, so football is what I've really been into. I watched and played. But hey, for someone coming from India, not knowing anything about baseball, I still do know enough to get by, okay? So yeah, Fenway Park. I've been to a couple games there, seen the Red Sox, but don't know about Babe Ruth. But much respect. Seems like doesn't say who he played for. But yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to everyone. And again, link's going to be down below if you're interested in joining our community. 40% annual discount until the end of this month. And happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Paleo of baseball. That's incredible.